Welcome. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Brownlow, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about the Thought Leadership Mentorship Program at Texas Women's University. So, I work with the Quality Enhancement Plan, who hosts the Thought Leadership Mentorship Program. I want to tell you a little bit first about who we are. The Quality Enhancement Plan is a 5-year plan to improve student success. It's part of a 10-year cycle that we have with our accreditation organization. Basically, we submit a plan of how we think we're going to improve student success over a 5-year period, and then we assess for about 5 years and come up with the next plan. So we're right in the middle of our current plan, which is amplify your impact thought leadership for community well-being. We have this idea that our particular students have a unique position that allows them to be able to be thought leaders in their fields. We have a lot of non-traditional and first-gen students who come from communities that really need the knowledge and skills that we get here that not everybody has access to. And so what we really like to help you do is harness the tools and the thinking of public communications to help you to achieve your goals, to build trust with communities, and to have an impact on the world around you. And the people who are involved are Dr. Gretchen Busel, who is our director. She is in the English department, and she's really adept at helping students to engage public audiences, to translate their work for public audiences. And I am a public scholarship specialist hired specifically for this quality enhancement plan. My background is in nonprofit communication strategy and in public humanities work. So I'm really passionate about helping you to translate the expertise you do have from not just your studies, but from your life knowledge, and to actually turn that into something that builds community, that connects to people, and that changes hearts and minds. So, how does the Thought Leadership Mentorship Program fit into that, and what is it? Well, it's a mentorship program, but the idea is that it brings together students who have experience with getting their knowledge ideas out into the world through public communications with students who are interested in that kind of thing, but aren't super sure where to start. Now, we define expertise in this area as just having done it at all. um, and so we really want this to use this to help students who are already acting as thought leaders in their field to really get a chance to solidify that by mentoring others. When you teach somebody, you tend to actually get better at something yourself. So if you already have some experience, we're hoping that this helps you to, by mentoring others, you build your own skills, especially as a leader. We're also hoping that this gives students who are interested in thought leadership but aren't super sure where to start a really nice, low stakes, guided introduction to it. A mentorship program isn't something where you get a grade. And so it's really helpful to kind of have this safe space where you can play and experiment and come up with something that you care about rather than something a faculty member cares about. And then finally, we hope that this is going to create a culture of learning from each other and practicing thought leadership outside the classroom across the university. So, who is it that we're looking for in this program? Well, really, any students that are enrolled for both semesters. No, I'm talking to you in fall 2025 right now. And so, for those who want to take part next year, they have to be enrolled both this semester and spring 2026. Reason for that is because this is a semester where we apply and we train and we orient. And then spring semester is when things really kick off and you actually work together on a public facing project. So you have to be enrolled for both the semester you're applying in and the semester you're applying for. Now, there are two different roles you might apply for. As I mentioned, we're trying to pair students with experience with students who don't have so much experience. You might be either one of these. Either you are a student who has some experience. Maybe you have a podcast, or you've written a couple of op-eds, or you have a public facing book or a blog you've kept for a really long time, or maybe you're really active on social media and have been growing a following. The idea is, though, that you have experience sharing your ideas and knowledge with audiences and communities outside of these formal education settings. You could be an undergraduate or a graduate student. That doesn't really matter to us. What matters is your level of experience with public facing communications. I put a list here of all the things you might have done that would make you an expert expert mentor for this program. But that's not an exhaustive list. So if you have other things that you think count, absolutely throw your hat in the ring. We're also looking for people to be mentored, though, right? People for you to mentor. So our scholar mentees also can be graduate or undergraduate. That isn't what matters to us so much as you don't have experience sharing your ideas and knowledge outside of the walls of academia, but you want to learn. And your application should show us that that's what you want to learn. Sometimes we get applications where people are really just looking for mentorship in general, and that's great. We absolutely want you to have that. The nature of this particular program, though, is going to expect you to come out with a public communications project by the end of the mentorship program. So we want to make sure that you're prepared for that and actually interested in it before you join this program. And the way we gauge that is we see if you have any ideas. Do you have any ideas for knowledge and skills that you want to share with the public that you could then feasibly build off of with a mentor? So what's expected for each role? Well, let's go over expert mentors first. If you are selected to be an expert mentor in this program, you're going to mentor 2 to 3 scholars, or maybe 1 to 3. It kind of depends. Sometimes, mentee will join and then after a couple weeks realize they don't have time for it and will drop. But you're going to work with them both as a team and individually on projects of their choosing. So each of your mentees is supposed to be working on a public-facing project throughout the spring semester, and you're supposed to guide them on that. But the reason we have the team structure is because sometimes people want to do things together, and I think we're just stronger when we can, at the very least, bounce ideas off of each other. So whether that turns into a group project or it turns into multiple individual projects, what really matters to us is that each mentee is getting the experience that they want and is building the skills that they need. As an expert mentor, you are expected to attend 2 trainings in the fall semester. In preparation for that spring semester, we train you in not only how to be an effective mentor, but also just how to mentor people on different kinds of public-facing projects. You can't guarantee that your mentees are going to want to do the thing you've done exactly. And so it helps to know how to support them on a wide variety of projects. And in order to give them that support, you're going to need to have to meet with them at least twice, both as a group and at least twice as individuals, just to check in with them, see how things are going. Most of our expert mentors end up checking in way more regularly than that with their mentees, but we ask just for the sake of making sure you are in fact mentoring them, that you meet with each one at least twice, and then with the group of mentees that you have at least twice. You will be required to attend at least 1 coaching session with me in the spring, and that'll be about whatever you want it to be. Most people use it to troubleshoot relationships with mentees. Maybe somebody's just dropped off the face of the earth and they can't find them and they need strategies for helping. Maybe they've asked for help with an assignment that they don't understand how to help with. And so that coaching session really is a choose your own adventure. It's really meant to check in with me and let me help you. The other thing that's meant to check in and let people help you is a group meeting. The expert mentors all meet as a group about midway through the spring as well, so that we can spend some time connecting with each other, learning from each other, commiserating with each other. Oftentimes the expert mentors think they are alone in their experience and they have to be the adult in the room and they don't know what to do. That's okay. You have other mentors to connect with and to learn from and to see that you're not alone, and we strategize together in that space. And then finally, you will be expected to submit a reflection on the experience at the end of the spring semester. When your mentees submit all of their public-facing projects, you will just be submitting a reflection on the experience. We use that to get a sense of how it went, how it actually helps folks. We use that for our reporting to show folks that this kind of stuff does work. But we also use it to pull advice from you for future program participants. They love hearing y'all's advice because you guys come up with the best advice after this program, I swear. Now, for the other role, there are slightly different expectations. Instead of mentoring, you're going to be learning. And so your expectations are all centered around learning. So the primary thing you're expected to do is to create and use at least 1 public-facing project of your choosing. Again, there's a big list of what that could be. And your mentor is going to help you figure out what that is, but you will be turning in the documentation of that thing, right? So let's say you decide to do community workshop, maybe you record it. Let's say that you wrote an op-ed, you're going to give us the link to that as well with maybe the pitch email you sent, so we see how you got it published. These things really matter. So you're creating a public facing project with the guidance from your mentor, and then you're submitting that to us at the end. Now, we're not teachers, we're not going to grade you, but we do use it to report to the accreditation agency and show them, look at the cool stuff our students are doing, why this programming works. It's also part of what gets us funding for this programming. As well, just like the mentors, you're going to be expected to attend 2 training sessions in the fall. Reason for that is because you've never done public communications before. And so it helps to give you a crash course in what it is and how you can get started on it. And so that's what those 2 training sessions are for, so that you can hit the ground running in spring with your mentor. You only have 1 semester, and that's on top of all of your other commitments. And so we want to make sure that in spring, you're already prepared to do it instead of learning from scratch and then having to engage in it. So those training sessions are really important. If you apply in the fall and don't think you can commit to training sessions in the fall, maybe you're not ready to hit the ground running in spring, which means that maybe that mentorship program at this moment just isn't for you. Just like the mentors, you're required to attend at least 2 group meetings with your mentor and other mentees, and then at least 2 one-on-one sessions with that mentor. And then, of course, submit your project along with a reflection on the experience at the end of spring. So I want to talk a little bit about what all you get out of this, because this can be sounding like a lot of work, but I promise it's all for you. So the expert mentors get a few different things out of this. First off, you get leadership and mentorship experience that goes on your resume. That is nothing to sniff at. Secondly, you get development in thought leadership. We learn more by teaching than by acting as students. You get support in translating your thought leadership work into your resume and CV. You get a chance to meet up with and maybe collaborate with other people who are doing cool thought leadership work. You get a chance to really think deeply with others about what it is that you're passionate about and how to leverage that passion for community well-being. I've had multiple students, both mentors and mentees, tell me that this program really helped them navigate what they care about. And I think that's kind of a undervalued aspect of this experience. As well, you get access to priority access to multimedia tools and resources through the QEP. That includes both our Canvas resources that we have, so you can actually guide your mentees through projects, as well as content creation equipment through the library that we can lend out to you, and you get priority access to because you are enrolled in a QEP program. You also get a certificate of completion at the end and a $500 scholarship that will be released in spring. Now, whether that's going to impact your financial aid situation is something you want to talk about with your financial aid advisor. But it's kind of a thank you for sharing your expertise and for taking responsibility for the projects of your mentees and for getting them across the finish line and helping them. So since you're required to spend so much more time and effort, and you're the one at the end of the day that it all falls on if they don't do what they need to do, you get a $500 scholarship to thank you for your service. Now, the mentees, you get a bunch of things out of this too. Now, you may not get a $500 scholarship because you're not actually doing something for somebody else. You're mainly just getting things out of it. But we do actually suggest that, those who have been mentored before in this program, we do strongly encourage you to apply to mentor somebody the next year if you're interested in it, and to get paid for helping somebody out and for translating the knowledge you got in the mentorship program for somebody else. I believe right now we actually have our first mentor who was a mentee right now, and we have a couple of them. So that's something to think about. But other than that, it gives you a chance to experiment with and build skills for getting your ideas out of the classroom and into the real world, which is kind of invaluable in this day and age. What good is the stuff you're learning if you can't translate it and share it with others? You get a project that you can use and point people to showcase your skills and experience, especially future employers. It's a thing you can go into your portfolio, you can share on LinkedIn. You get a chance to think deeply with others about what you're passionate about and how to leverage that passion for community well-being. Um, you get the experience needed to eventually become an expert and maybe apply to be a mentor. And of course, you also get the same access to our multimedia tools and resources and a certificate of completion as well. Now, there are some logistical questions that come up a lot when I'm talking about this program, so I thought I'd get those out of the way. First off, how does the scholarship for experts work? So, if you're accepted as an expert mentor, that scholarship is going to be dispersed directly to the TWU admissions office at the beginning of the spring semester. So, you're accepted in fall, and then at the beginning of the spring semester, when it comes time for tuition, that $500 gets dispersed directly to the admissions office. And that's why we suggest that you go talk to your financial aid counselor first so that they know, so that, before that gets dispersed, you have a better understanding of how that's going to impact things like your financial aid. Um, you may also be wondering, do the scholars, the mentees, have to have a specific project already in mind before they apply? If you don't know how to do public communications, how are you going to know what you might do, right? And absolutely not. But it will strengthen your application if you have some ideas of what you're interested in and why you're interested in it. That way, we can better match you with an expert. A lot of times, when people don't get selected to be mentees in this program, it's because we couldn't imagine who we would pair you with because we weren't sure what you wanted to learn. And so, helping us get an idea of what kind of public communications you're hoping to learn helps us to select a mentor and then get you into the program. Um, how much say do you actually get in how you're matched with each other? We ask you questions to rank in order of priority things like demographics. Maybe you want somebody who understands your experience as a person. Field, maybe you want somebody in your major. Type of communication experience, maybe you want somebody who can really help you with your public writing or your public speaking. We ask you to rank those, and so we try to take your preferences into consideration when we're matching you. And then finally, will you get to meet everyone before you start those training sessions? Yes, we have an orientation that starts pretty quickly as soon as you're accepted, like within a week or two, because we want to get you while you're still fresh and excited and get that information to you. It's a meet and greet event. It's really low key. It's really fun, actually. And you get to kind of connect with your mentor and your mentees and get to know each other a little bit. And it's a really nice icebreaker that I think is one of my favorite parts of this program. And then finally, you might be thinking of applying after all of this. I really hope you are. If you are, applications open every fall semester, and that is also the time when we have orientations and trainings. And then the spring semester is when the work really kicks off. You can always find key dates and application information on our website. You can also follow us on Instagram. We always post regularly about applications and due dates. And you can also find us on MyTWU. We always post that stuff on there as well. And also, we have an email list. So you probably see emails from the QEP a lot, and you may not have been sure what those are about. I recommend opening them. We occasionally have opportunities like this that you might be interested in taking advantage of. If you have any questions at all, whether you'd like to talk about the mentorship program or just public communications in general, talking to you, working one-on-one with students is one of my favorite aspects of my job. So feel free to go to the website, look me up, and hit the little button that says schedule a public scholarship appointment with me. And I will gladly meet up with you to talk about your goals and how you can leverage public communications to meet them. I really hope you apply. Thanks for joining me.